Chosen one, I want to say something to you before this message begins, and I need you to receive it all the way down into the part of you that has been holding on the longest. God is about to change your life, not rearrange a few things around the edges, not improve a few circumstances. Change it completely and specifically. The kind of change that makes you look back at this season and understand clearly. This was the hinge. This was where everything before became preparation, and everything after became the thing you were always being shaped to carry. I know you have been waiting. I know the silence has been heavy. I know there have been nights where the distance between what you believed and what you were living felt so wide, it stole the breath right out of your chest. And I know that somewhere in the quietest part of your interior, a question has risen, not in doubt, but in the honest tiredness of someone who has held on for a very long time. God, is this ever actually going to happen for me? Today is His answer to that question. I do not say that carelessly. The signs, the stirrings, the patterns moving in the lives of those who have stayed faithful through the silence, they are pointing to one unmistakable thing. Something is shifting for you right now, not in a vague, general sense, in a specific, appointed, designed for you sense. The Father has a timeline, and you have reached yours. So take a real breath, stop everything else, be here fully, because what comes next is big. Everything I am going to share with you in this message is freely yours. Every word, every truth, no conditions, no cost. But if at any point something inside you tells you there is more you need for the season you are stepping into, what you are looking for is waiting in the description below and in the pinned comment. Only look if you feel drawn. Let the message speak first. And before we go further, I want to ask you to stay with this from beginning to end, because what I am about to lay out for you is specific. The 4 signs that confirm you are standing at this threshold right now. The 3 areas of your life God is reorganizing simultaneously, and the one internal pattern that, if left unnamed, has the power to block everything being released. Those 3 things build on each other. You need all of them, so stay close. This is worth your full attention. Before I tell you what is coming, I need to show you what is already here, because the change I am describing has already begun, not in your visible circumstances yet, but inside you, and in the invisible atmosphere surrounding your life right now. There are 4 signs showing up in the lives of people who are about to step across a major threshold. And I want to walk through each one carefully, because every single one matters. The first sign is a shift in your tolerance. Things you used to sit in comfortably have become unbearable. Environments that once felt familiar now feel wrong, in a way you cannot fully explain. Conversations that used to be easy now drain something out of you before you are even fully engaged. You have probably been calling this anxiety, or a mood shift, or just being difficult lately. But I want to offer you a different interpretation. This is not you becoming unstable. This is not you becoming ungrateful. This is not you falling apart. This is your spirit outgrowing a space it was never designed to stay inside forever. When the roots of a tree push against the walls of a pot that is too small, the pot cracks. That is not a problem. That is growth demanding more space. The discomfort you feel in old places is the sound of your spirit saying, I no longer fit here, and that is not a failure, that is a sign. The second sign is a creative restlessness you cannot fully explain or name. Something inside you wants to build, to create, to move towards something, but you cannot yet identify what that something is. It lives in your chest as a pressure without a clear direction, and you have probably dismissed it as wishful thinking, as irresponsibility, as a distraction you cannot afford right now. But I want to tell you what that pressure actually is. It is the calling stirring before the full assignment arrives. The gifts inside you that went quiet during the waiting season are beginning to wake up. They do not have complete direction yet, because the complete assignment has not yet fully landed. But the activation is real, the stirring is real. Do not silence it. And then there is the third sign, and this one has been showing up in ways that feel almost too precise to dismiss. The right person has arrived at the right moment. A message has landed on the exact day it was needed. A door has opened in a direction you were not watching. A word has found you that answered a question you had not spoken out loud. These moments, accumulating in recent weeks, are not luck. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is God threading the needle of your story into the exact moment of what He has already prepared. Every unexplainable alignment you have filed away quietly is divine confirmation that the path is real and you are on it. If any of those three signs are active in your life right now, type "I see it" in the comments below. Let it be your declaration that you recognize what God is already doing. But I want to tell you about the fourth sign because this is the one most people overlook. This one does not show up in your circumstances at all. It shows up in your sleep. Your dreams have changed, not just in content, but in weight. You are waking with something that visited in the night, something that does not always survive translation into words by morning, but that leaves an impression that stays through the day. Dreams that feel more real than ordinary waking hours, and you have been unsure what to make of them, unsure whether to take them seriously or dismiss them as noise. Here is what I want you to know. The Father speaks to those whose waking minds are full of noise in the one space they cannot fill with distraction. The hours between sleep and waking. These are not your subconscious running old data. These are the hours when He can reach the parts of you that your busyness cannot protect. The increased weight and vividness in your dreams is not a stress response. It is the sign of a God who refuses to wait until everything is quiet before He speaks to you. All four of these signs, not one, not two, but this specific cluster together, is a pattern that appears in the lives of people who are standing at exactly the threshold I am describing today. Before every suddenly in Scripture, before every Joseph story, before every moment where a life pivoted completely in a single day, this cluster appears first, and it is appearing in your life right now. But here is what these signs are actually pointing toward, and this is the part most people do not understand until it is too late to prepare for what is arriving. Let me show you. I want to pause here for just a moment before we go deeper. You have been leaning forward into this, and I want to acknowledge that the act of remaining open, of being willing to receive, when you have been carrying so much for so long, that is not a small thing. That is faith in motion. Take one slow breath right now. Nothing to receive in this breath. Nothing to release. Just arrive, and then let me show you what all of this means about where God is actually taking you. Those four signs are not random feelings. They are the fingerprints of a formation process. A process that God has been running in your life quietly, precisely, without your full awareness, to build you for what is about to arrive. I want to talk about what the wilderness actually is, because most people experience it as punishment, as evidence that they missed something, or believed something wrong, or failed some invisible test along the way. But that is not what the wilderness is. There are three things that happen inside a long season of waiting that simply cannot happen any other way. The first is this: false identities get stripped. The version of you that needed external validation to feel secure, the one who needed approval before taking the next step, who needed to be seen to believe the calling was real, that version cannot carry what is coming. It was too fragile for the weight of the assignment ahead, so it had to go. Not because it was wrong for existing, but because what you are being given requires something stronger underneath. The wilderness did not break you. It broke what was built on the wrong foundation. and what remains is the real you, the one that can stand without applause. The second thing the wilderness does is forge character. Not teach it, not suggest it. Forge it the way metal becomes steel through heat and pressure that has no shortcut. The patience you developed in the years of waiting is not a passive quality. It is a structural one, the capacity to believe without confirmation, to trust without visible evidence, to hold the tension between a promise and a reality that do not yet match. That capacity was built in this season. You did not waste those years. You were strengthened inside them. And the third thing the wilderness does is clear the space around you, the people, the places, and the patterns attached to the old version of your life began to release. Some of those clearings felt like abandonment. Some looked like betrayal. Some looked like the very things you were praying for becoming inaccessible right when you needed them most. But what was actually happening was architectural. God was creating room. The old container had to be emptied before it could receive something different in its place. What felt like isolation was actually preparation. What felt like delay was actually development. What felt like silence was actually God working in a language you were not yet equipped to read. There is a man in the Hebrew Scriptures whose story I want to bring you. His name was Joseph, and his wilderness was not metaphorical. It was literal. A pit, then a house of service with no recognition, then a prison. 13 years of circumstances that looked, from every angle, like evidence that God had either forgotten him or never made him any promise at all. And then a single morning, one divine appointment. One suddenly, and everything in his life changed completely, in a form that nobody in his story could have predicted, manufactured, or strategized their way into. I tell you that story not as inspiration, as data, because the pattern of what preceded Joseph's sudden elevation is the same pattern you have been inside, and the pattern always includes a moment that looks like the deepest descent, right before the ascent begins. I want to tell you about someone else, a woman who had been carrying a specific promise for nearly 4 years. At the 3-year and 9-month mark, she sat alone in the dark and told God that she had run out of the energy to keep holding on. She was not angry. She was simply empty. She placed everything she had been carrying down, not out of unbelief, but out of exhaustion. And she said, "If you want this to happen, you are going to have to carry it now, because I cannot anymore." 3 months later, with no new strategy, no breakthrough moment of faith, no additional effort on her part, the answer came all at once, in a form she had not anticipated. And looking back, she said the same thing I want to say to you now. The moment I put it down was the moment the door was ready to open. My grip was the last thing standing between me and what God had already prepared. Right now, in this moment, your hands already know what it feels like to let go. The link is in the description and the pinned comment below. What moves through it does not go to a channel. It goes to someone still in the grip, still in the year where the door feels permanently shut. What you release there is not a transaction. It is a declaration that your hands are open, and the God who moved the moment that woman let go is the same God who responds to every act of release in kind. As you step through that link, bring with you the door you have been gripping the longest, not to hold it, to plant it and watch what the open-handed God does with both. I am going to return to that in part 2, because that pattern is directly relevant to the one thing that may still be standing in your way. Before I close part 1, I want to mention something. There is a researcher named Dr. Robert Lake who spent 34 years studying exactly what happens to the human brain during a formation season like the one I have been describing. He documented a complete sequence of restoration, a full progression of what the mind and spirit need in order to move from the survival state of the wilderness into the receptive state of breakthrough. We have been walking through the first layer of that sequence today, and in part 2, I am going to share something specific that Dr. Lake found, After all those years of research, something practical, something grounded, and something that connects directly to where you are standing right now. If this message has reached something real in you today, before you move to part 2, gently press the like button below, not for this channel, so that this message finds someone else tonight who is in the middle of their own formation season and does not yet understand what it means. In part 2, I am going to name the 3 specific areas of your life that God is reorganizing right now, and I am going to show you the one internal pattern that, if left unnamed, can block everything that is being released. Stay with me, stepping into this with me right now, and in the season you have been in, one where keeping faith has required real effort that is not nothing. The act of remaining open is itself the posture of someone who is already positioned to receive. Before I go into the 3 specific areas, I want to mention something briefly. What I said at the close of part 1 about Dr. Lake's 34 years of research on the brain during formation seasons connects to something practical that I want you to know exists. After decades of study, he developed a 7-minute audio track that works by activating a specific brainwave frequency called gamma, the high state of clarity, creativity, and deep intuition that every child is born with, and that the modern world gradually suppresses from around age 7 onward. You listen with headphones once a day, and it begins working from the very first session. Now, let me give you what I promised. For those who are stepping into this threshold season, and I believe that is everyone who has stayed this far here, is what God is reorganizing. 3 areas of your life, all 3 simultaneously, and all 3 already in motion, even if the movement is not yet visible to you. The first area is your relationships. What is shifting here is the composition of your inner circle. People who were essential to the old season are beginning to drift. This is not a sign that something is wrong with you or with how you love. It is architectural. God is clearing the space around you to make room for connections that are aligned with who you are becoming, not who you were. This is always how the transition works. The old connections loosen before the new ones become visible. And the gap between who leaves and who arrives will feel like loneliness before it feels like liberation. What you must not do during this time is reach back desperately. Do not try to hold what is already releasing. The grip will not save either of you, and it will only slow what God is doing in both of your lives. What to trust is this: they will recognize you in a way the old connections never quite could. The second area is your purpose. The fog that has surrounded your assignment, the confusion about what the next actual step is, that is beginning to lift. Not all at once, but a clear direction is going to present itself, and it is going to feel both obvious and slightly terrifying at the same time. You will feel a pull toward something specific, toward a direction you have been hesitant to name out loud, because it feels too large, too presumptuous, too specific for someone standing in the position you have been in. That pull is not wishful thinking. That is the calling becoming audible for the first time in a long season. And here is what you must understand about it. Certainty follows obedience. It does not come before it. You do not need the full staircase to be visible. You only need the next step to be lit. The third area, and this is the one that may surprise you most, is your provision. What is shifting here is not only the amount, but the source. Resources are going to begin arriving from directions you did not plan, through channels you did not manufacture, in forms you may not immediately recognize as answers to what you have been asking for. You will feel surprised when it starts, possibly even suspicion. The voice inside that says, "This seems too aligned. This cannot be right." That voice is going to try to make you minimize what is being given, because it did not arrive through the route you expected. Do not minimize it. God is not constrained by your plan for how the answer is supposed to look. The provision is tied to the purpose. As you step forward into the direction that is becoming clear, what you need will be there at the moment you arrive at it, not before, but exactly when. Now I need to say something about the timing of all of this, because I know the question underneath everything is when. In Hebrew, the original language of the scriptures I have been drawing from throughout this message, there is a word that English translations often render simply as time, but the word in its original form is et, and it does not mean time in the general sense. It means a specific, appointed, designated moment, not a loose season, a precise appointment. The text of Ecclesiastes opens with it, "For everything there is an appointed e." God does not operate on convenience. He operates on the et, the specific, set-apart moment that was determined long before you arrived inside it. And here is what that means for you right now. You are not behind the schedule. You thought you were behind. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You are standing inside the et that was appointed for this transition. The waiting was not a delay in the plan. The waiting was part of the plan. The formation was the plan. And the et, your specific appointed moment of release, has arrived. And I hear the Father saying this over someone in this space today. He is saying, what I built in you in the years you could not see will not be wasted, and none of it will be forgotten. The provision is assembled. The purpose is already clear on my side of the door. The people are being positioned. You have not been waiting for me to begin. I have been waiting for the E to arrive. It has arrived, come through. If you receive that word over your life today, type Amen in the comments right now. Let that be your agreement with what just landed. The ET you just received was not spoken only over you. There are people right now, at month 9 of year 3, inside the same silence you were carrying when this message found you, asking the same question you were asking. They do not yet know their own ET is close. The link is in the pinned comment below. A seed released at a threshold does not carry ordinary weight. It is planted at an ET inside an act of faith that heaven already has a specific response to. As you step through that link, bring with you the specific thing that moved in you when you heard come through, not as something you are trading for it, as evidence that you believe what was just spoken over your life. Let that seed carry the full weight of the appointed moment it was born inside. Before I show you the one thing that can still stand in the way of all of this, and I will show you, because it matters, there is one more piece I need to lay down first, because this piece is the one that makes everything actionable. What I am about to name is the pattern that, if left unaddressed, has the power to slow or block everything we have just discussed. And most people who lose their breakthrough do not lose it to an external force. Stay with me. There is a pattern that shows up in people who have been faithful, in people who have held on and done the work and refused to give up. And it is so well disguised that most people never name it for what it actually is. From the outside, it looks like diligence. It looks like responsibility. It even looks like a thorough kind of faith. But underneath, it is fear. It is the need to manage the timeline, the need to know the how before saying yes to the what, the need to hold the outcome close enough to feel like it is still within reach, the need to understand every step before taking the first one. This is control. And it has been standing between more chosen ones and their breakthroughs than almost anything else I know of. Here is where it comes from. It does not come from a lack of faith. It comes from a wound inside faith. At some point in your story, after a specific disappointment, after a promise that seemed to expire, after believing fully and still watching something fall apart, something inside made a quiet decision. It said, I will not be in that position again. I will believe, but I will also keep my hand on the mechanism. And that decision made complete sense at the time. It was protection. It was the only way to keep going without being destroyed. But here is the reality of where you are now. What was protection in the wilderness becomes a barrier at the threshold. The breakthrough waiting for you cannot come through a door you are gripping from the inside. Your hand on the wheel is not steering you toward it. It is holding it closed. And the woman I told you about in part 1, the one who placed everything down at 3 years and 9 months. What she did in that dark room was not giving up. That was the moment of surrender that finally removed the last obstacle between her and the open door. Her grip was the last thing standing between her and everything God had already prepared. I want to give you something right now, not an exercise that requires you to go anywhere or do anything complicated. Just one internal movement, right now, wherever you are, in a car, in a room, lying down. Bring to mind the thing that rose when I was describing the ET arriving. The promise, the direction, the thing you have been managing carefully, holding close, trying to keep alive through effort. You know exactly what it is. It came to you just now. In your mind, picture yourself holding that thing in both hands. Feel the weight of it, the years of carrying it, the energy it has taken to keep it safe. And then slowly, deliberately, open your hands, not to let it fall, to give it back to the one who placed it there in the first place. Just that internal movement, just that decision. Open your hands in your spirit and let it rest in the hands that were holding it long before you were. You are allowed to not have the answer. You are allowed to not know the form it arrives in. You are allowed to trust without a blueprint. Take one breath right here. What you just did, even if it was small and quiet inside you, that mattered. The act of release is not dramatic, but it may be the most significant movement you make today. Let it land for a moment before I show you the practical piece. Let me give you something clear to carry, because this message has covered significant ground, and I want you to leave with it organized. Here is the why of everything you heard today. The season you have been inside has not been random. Here is the what. You know the 4 signs that confirm you are at the threshold right now. You know the 3 areas: relationships, purpose, and provision that are being reorganized simultaneously. And you have identified the pattern of control and taken the first step of opening your hands. And here is the who. You, the one who recognized those signs, the one who felt the 3 areas land as truth, the one who had something rise immediately when I asked what you have been holding. Everything in this message today was aimed at the exact position you are standing in. You are ready for what comes next. Now I want to talk about what Dr. Lake found after 34 years of research, because it connects directly to this threshold in a way you need to hear. He discovered something about childhood before school systems, before performance demands, before the world began requiring children to conform and adapt and manage their inner life from the outside. The human brain naturally operates in a frequency that scientists call the gamma state. Gamma is the brain wave pattern associated with heightened clarity, deep creative flow, strong intuition, and what many people describe as a felt sense of connection to something larger than themselves, where answers arrive, where direction is clear, where the invisible and the visible feel unified rather than opposed. Research teams at MIT and Princeton, along with several other leading institutions, documented this in careful detail. Every child carries this state naturally, and then gradually, starting around age 7, the accumulated pressures of modern life begin to suppress it. By adulthood, for most people, the gamma state is almost entirely dormant, not destroyed, not permanently gone. Dormant, sleeping beneath the survival frequencies that daily life requires. Dr. Lake called this the decline effect, and he spent his career working to understand how to reverse it. Here is why this matters specifically for the threshold you are at. The formation season you have been inside the heaviness of the waiting, the difficulty of accessing peace and clarity and genuine spiritual connection during it. Part of what makes that season so exhausting is that the brain is running in survival mode. You have been trying to hear God, to trust, to receive, from a brain that is tuned primarily to threat detection. That is not a spiritual failure, that is a physiological reality. And what Dr. Lake developed is a way to address it directly. After decades of research, he created a 7-minute audio track that uses a technology called brain entrainment. Sound frequency is calibrated to gently guide your brain waves back into the gamma state. While you listen, you put on headphones, press play, and for those 7 minutes, your brain begins to remember a frequency it was born carrying. If what I just shared connects with something your spirit already knows about where you are right now, the link is in the description below. Follow it only if you feel genuinely drawn. Type "I receive" in the comments if something in what I just shared connected with you. Let that be your declaration. Now I want to name who you actually are. Not who the waiting season told you that you were. Not the version shaped by years of unanswered questions. But who God says you are. You are someone He has been building in secret for this specific season, not developing from scratch. Building on a foundation laid in every year of the wilderness, in every act of faithfulness that felt invisible, in every time you stayed when everything in you wanted to go. The work was real. You are the result of it. You are the answer to a prayer that has not yet been prayed. There are people who will encounter what you carry, people who do not yet know your name, who are somewhere right now, asking God for exactly the thing you have been shaped to give. Your breakthrough is not only for you. It is the beginning of something you will carry forward to someone else, and you were designed for what is coming, not for what has already passed. The Father's version of your future is not the diminished one that fear has been presenting to you in the quiet hours. It is intact, it is waiting, and it is larger than your current imagination of it. Type 444 in the comments right now. Let that be your declaration that the angels assigned to this season are active, that you are standing in exactly the right place, and that what is coming will not pass you by. Here are 3 postures to carry forward from this message, not steps to force an outcome. Postures that keep you aligned with what is already in motion. The first is surrender the timeline, release the when and the how. The tighter you hold the specific form the breakthrough must take, the harder it is for God to deliver the form that actually works for your real life. The second is clear the space. Notice the habit of mind that is occupying the room where something new is trying to enter, the constant rehearsal of what might go wrong, the planning of every angle, even for a few minutes each day. Let it rest. The third is expect the unexpected form. The provision, the purpose, the person. They may arrive through a door you were not watching. Keep the full perimeter of your expectation open. Before I close this message, I want to do one thing with you, not the closing prayer, yet a preparation for it. Wherever you are right now, in a car, in a bed, in a room, take one slow breath. Not to release anything yet, just to arrive fully here, and in your mind, picture a door, not a specific door, just a door standing in open space, and behind that door is everything described in this message: the relationships, the purpose, the provision, the clarity, the ET, all of it assembled, real, waiting on the other side. The door is not locked. It was never locked from the other side. You are standing at it right now, not approaching it at it. With everything the wilderness built behind you, with the formation complete, with the ET arrived, let that become real in your body for one moment. Wherever you are right now, just feel it, breathe it in. Now let me close this properly. You made it to the end of this message, and I want to begin by honoring that, not as an achievement, but as an act of faith. You stayed open in a season that has given you many reasons to close. You remained willing to receive, and that openness is exactly the posture that what is coming requires. I want to ask you to place something down right now. Every year of waiting you have been carrying in your hands, every unanswered prayer you have been quietly managing, every closed door you are still holding the weight of. Let it leave your hands in this moment, not because it did not matter, but because you are at the threshold, and you do not carry the weight of the wilderness into the room that is about to open. The weight was for the wilderness. The room requires open hands. Take one slow breath here, let it go. You do not need to say anything elaborate, just the decision. Just open your hands in your spirit, and let it rest where it was always meant to rest. And now I want to share what I hear the Father speaking over every chosen one in this space today. He is saying this: the seed I planted in you in the years of darkness has not died. What went underground in the season of waiting, what you could not see growing, what you began to wonder had disappeared, entirely it has broken through the surface. The fruit of everything you held in faith, everything you carried without confirmation, everything you believed without visible evidence, it is about to become visible. And it is more than you imagine, because I am more than your imagination of me has allowed for. Type "I am ready" in the comments right now. Say it with intention, because you are. I am ready is not a feeling, it is a posture, and a posture shows up in the body. The link is in the pinned comment below. What you release through it is not separate from what just happened in this space. The seed that did not die in you, the one that is about to become visible, has a counterpart somewhere in someone who has not yet found what you just found. They are in the middle of the formation season you just walked through, wondering if the seed in them has already died. Your first act as someone who just said "I am ready" is not complicated. It is the same movement you have been practicing for the last hour. Open hands, let it go forward, and watch the God who told you it was about to become visible do the same thing in someone else's ground. Take one more breath. Sit in this for just a moment before you go. Let it land. Let the weight of it become real. Let it be the loudest voice you carry with you out of this space, and so it is. Before you leave, one thing to carry. What you received in this message is not just information. It is identity. The version of you that walks away from this is not the same one that arrived. Carry it accordingly. If this message brought clarity to confusion, if it brought peace to something that has been loud and unsettled, if it confirmed something you have been feeling but could not name, gently press the like button below, not for this channel, so that this message finds someone else tonight who is standing at their own threshold and does not yet understand what they are standing inside. And stay close. There is more being prepared for the season you are stepping into. What comes next builds directly on what you received today. Do not miss it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so that nothing in this next season reaches you late. One final thing before you go. Someone came to mind while you were listening to this. You know exactly who I am talking about. Someone who has been unusually quiet lately. Someone who looks completely fine on the outside, but you can sense that something deeper is happening underneath. Someone who has been standing at their own threshold in silence, carrying the same questions in the dark, holding on when everything in them is tired. Send this to them right now, before the moment passes. Text it, forward it. However you need to. Your willingness to reach back could be the thing that tells them they have not been forgotten. Chosen ones were never meant to find their way through this alone. Be the one who reaches,